video in the description in English language as well as Hindi language. So now let's open Workbench, go to Start, type MySQL Workbench. On typing, you can see MySQL Workbench 8.0 is visible. Click on it to open. Here you can see while installing Workbench, we created a default root user. So now I'll connect to it, double click. So we are inside the Workbench. Now on the left, you can see we have our schemas, which is also known as database. This is a default one, which gets created by default. Here, these are the tables. Click on it. Here are the columns in it. I'll just click on this sign to see the columns of the table and the entire table. On double clicking, you can see a table is visible. This is our demo table. And here the command is visible because we wanted to see the table. So it automatically executed the query, select star from table name. So here are the table columns. From here, the indexes, from here, the foreign keys and triggers are visible. Now let's close this. Here, what we'll do, we will just create a new database and a table inside it. For that, here the sign is visible. On keeping the cursor, you can see create a new schema, or you can also right click here and click on create schema. Let's create. I've clicked on it. Now here add the name of your schema, that is the name of your new database. Let's say my database name will be AmitDB1. So here you have entered a name. Keep the default char set as well as collision. Now I'll click on apply. On clicking apply, the review window is visible. Here the command to create a new schema is visible. I just need to click on apply here. From here you can also understand how to create a schema in Workbench. Click on apply. On clicking apply, you can see SQL script was successfully applied to the database and click on finish. Now on the left, you can see we have a new database. We created AmitDB1 database. Now here the tables are visible. Double click. Right now nothing would be visible because we haven't created any table. Now here you can click on this sign to create a new table in the active schema. That is the active schema is AmitDB1. The active database is AmitDB1. So you can right click on the tables and click on create table. Click on it. On clicking, you can see the UI is visible to create a table. Now let's add the name of the table. I'll give the name employee table. Let's say char set and collision, I'll keep the default. Here you can add comments so that you can refer later. Now we need to create columns in it. So just click on this sign. Now the section is visible. Now when you'll double click here, it will allow you to add the first column. I'll double click. Now you can see we can add our first column. I'll double click here. Let's say my first column is EMP Type ID, I'll go for int obviously. Primary key, yes, I'll set it and not null. So every employee will get a unique employee ID. So we have set it as primary key. Now to create a new column, double click here. Let's add EMP name column. It will be under varchar obviously because it's a string. 45 here means it will be 45 characters. Let's keep it to, let's say 60. I'll go for 60. Now let's set it not null because we want all the records for employees. I'll double click here again and add employee age. Age will come under int. So double click here and from the drop down you can select int. Keep it not null again. Let's add last field. Here I'll go for employee department. Department, let's keep varchar. It's fine 45. It should be not null again. Now here you can also set the default value. So this is the default constant. If you won't add any value while inserting, this value will get entered. It's a basic table, so we will leave it right now. Now you just need to click on apply. Now you can see a table got created. Create table, employee table under 4 columns, ID, name, age and department, and with its data types and constraints. Primary key was only employee ID and the same is visible. So now you also know the query for it. It created on its own. Now click on apply. SQL script was successful. That means it has been successfully applied to the database. Click on finish. Now we have created employee table. Click on the mark again, the table mark, and let's see what is visible. Here our table is visible. So I hope you know that to get values from a table, you need to type select star and from then the table name. So this is what we have done. It automatically shows you the query so you can learn it in a better way. Now we have empty table. We have our empty table here because we haven't added any values. Now let's add a value. So here is the grid. Now I'll just double click here. Now enter the value. Let's say employee ID is 1. Employee name, let's add Tom, age 25, and department, let's say operations. Because we added varchar here, int here, varchar here, and int here. Now let's add second value, ID 2. Name, let's say I'll set as Emma. Age, let's say 23, and department finance. Third, in the same way, I'll add Brad, age, let's say 27, and department, let's say marketing. Fourth, let's add the last record, Bradley, age 26, department IT, let's say. So we have inserted the records. Now you need to just click on apply. I'll click on it. So these are the statements for insert. I hope you know that to insert records in a table, you need to use insert into, then the table name. Then you need to add the column names and then each value after the values keyword. So we have added here. Now click on apply. SQL script was successfully applied to the database. Click on finish. Now guys, our table is having the following values. I'll refresh here and click on the mark here, table mark. Here are the values of a table. In the same way, you can create a new table. I'll close this. Let's say right click here, create table. So let's add the second table. I'll give the name department. So here's a department table. Let's click on the arrow. Now add columns to it. Let's say I'll double click here. Department, let's say I'll add department ID at first. I'll set it as primary key and not null. Now let's add department name. Varchar, it's fine, not null. Department zone, let's say I'll set it as varchar again, not null. So we